When you watch a PBC card, what you will notice is at least 9 times out of 10, the main event will be a fight that could easily be on HBO or Showtime. A couple months ago, I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but we had a great card on the PBC series. It was Rances Bartholomew against Denis Shafikov. Great fight. And the whole card was loaded and stacked. On that same card, you had undefeateds Chris Pearson going against Eric Walker. If that wasn't good enough, the card opened up with Floyd Mayweather's #1 prodigy, Gervonta Tank Davis. And Tank Davis was stepping up in competition. He had to deal with resistance. Now you look at this card we just had last night, you have this undefeated prospect, Jamal James. Looks really good. They don't put him in the ring with some ESPN Friday Night Fights type of opponent. No, they put him in there with another prospect with an amateur pedigree, a young lion by the name of Javier Molina. For those of you guys who don't know about Javier Molina, he went to the Olympics. He has a twin brother. They both went to the Olympics. One represented Mexico, the other represented the U.S. These guys were terrorizing opponents as amateurs. But we all know that when you transition over to the pros, it's a whole new game. But anyway, the point that I'm making is this was a great competitive matchup. This is not what we are used to seeing on free TV. These type of matches. So when you guys talk about mismatches, show me every single top-ranked card. Show me every single Golden Boy card. And let's draw the comparisons. You know, from day one, I told you guys that anyone who's trying to help the sport grow, anyone who is for evolution in the sport of boxing, that's a good thing. I would see some of the comments before where some fans would say that Al Heyman is a disease and he's this and he's bad for boxing. Then I would see some people in the comment section say stuff like, well, I'm not going to say he's good. I'm not going to say he's bad. They would try to say that to try to basically cater to the decafs. But this is what I don't understand. How can anyone say something so ridiculous? I'm not going to say he's good. I'm not going to say he's bad. Why would you not say a person who's trying to help the sport grow is good? Why would you even be afraid to say that? You see, this is what happens when you have weak-minded people that can easily be indoctrinated by decafs. You start to question yourself. You start to ask yourself, do I have permission to give this black man credit who's trying to help the sport of boxing? Because I know if I give Bob Arum credit, everyone will be okay with that. I know if I give Oscar De La Hoya credit, that will be received in a positive fashion. But that guy on the coincidental list, man, if I give him credit, I'm going out on a limb. They may call me all kinds of names. You see how that works? That's why you have to have a strong mind and you cannot be a weak person. You cannot allow decafs to infiltrate your goddamn brain and have your ass infected like a mummy. You start walking around looking dumb, talking dumb, just like them. But the point that I'm making when I say all of this is, from day one, I was too goddamn strong to let somebody stop me from giving credit to people that deserve it. And that was way back in 2014, the end of 2014, going into 2015. Now look at what's going on. Like I said, it's only January, and Al Heyman is way up in the lead. You know, like the question I asked you guys, can you think of a fight that Top Rank or Golden Boy, they already have signed that's as big or bigger than Thurman versus Porter and isn't on pay-per-view? Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, we're going to hear announcements later on in the year, but I'm talking about as of right now in January, in the first month of 2016, can you name a fight? And the easiest answer, or the correct answer, would be no. You can't. You got Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo sitting on the Canelo versus Golovkin fight. We may never see that fight. You had Bob Arum, but I'm not going to say it was Bob Arum's fault, but I'm just going to say we possibly could have seen Pacquiao versus Crawford, which that fight would have been the fight that would have been just as big or bigger than Thurman versus Porter. I would probably say bigger. But instead, we're getting Pacquiao versus Bradley 3, and a lot of fans are complaining about that fight. One thing I will say about that fight is Tim Bradley, he has an opportunity to make that fight worth watching. Because if Tim Bradley comes out, as he says he will, looking like a new Tim Bradley, and makes this fight very competitive, then that would make the fight more worthy. But I think we can all agree that Pacquiao Bradley 3 is no Keith Thurman, Sean Porter 1. And that's not Tim Bradley's fault at all. This is a great opportunity for Tim Bradley. It's Pacquiao that the pressure is really on. I mean, but going back to Al Heyman in the PBC series, do you guys know how much talent is inside of the Al Heyman stable? I mean, you're talking about fighters like Eric Lubison, Arthur Beterbiev, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Sammy Vasquez, Deontay Wilder, Scott Quigg, Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz, Gary Russell Jr. And I am only naming a small percentage of the fighters that I know off the dome. If I were to look it up, I would hit you guys with all type of names. But you guys get the point that I'm making. Another fight we may get to see in 2016 is Gary Russell versus either Abner Mares or Leo Santa Cruz. Because all three of them fighters have said that they want to fight each other. So, once again, can you guys think of any other promotional company that is going to put more competitive, less mismatches together than the PBC series? That's all I got. I'm on to the next one. By the way, I just want to let you guys know that the radio show did get canceled this week. We had some technical difficulties with the phone lines. On top of that, it's so funny because I was just saying in my last show that I don't like to announce who's going to be on the show next week because too many things happen where people fall out, people cancel at the last minute. So I'd rather just go ahead and just do the work and then put it out there for you guys. Hank Lundy was supposed to do the show, and that was actually the day he was supposed to do the show was his sparring day. So he was going to finish up sparring and then call during the middle of the show. But his sparring ended up being later than he anticipated, and he ended up calling me after the show was done because that's when he had finished. So long story short, this is why the show, a combination of why the show got canceled. We'll be back on next week. We're going to have to reschedule the interview with Hank Lundy because he spars on that day. So I may just do a personal phone interview with him. That'll probably be a better deal. Matter of fact, that now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably the best way to go because he told me that Tuesdays are the days that he spars. So anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and get into this video.